I always feel like somebody's listening.
Who knows something about compositing green screen stuff?
We'll talk about that after the show.
Okay.
The
It's been
Gaben,
years.
our version of the Gaben would be probably the one to talk to.
That's because I'm gearing up to start to shoot some of these models that I built, and I'm wondering how many layers can you go before it starts to look like crap?
I was
Digitally,
wondering,
not too much.
I was wondering why you were, trying to summon Lord Gaben there, Wolfie.
Well, we're back on layer, guys. I do
Back
apologize, everybody.
Back on the lair.
We're back on the layer.
Does anybody wait? People still play that game? Wasn't it like a first run PS3 game?
Darn it! I was about to summon Cthulhu, and you interrupted.
What are you talking about, Wolfie?
Lair.
Dragon's Lair.
No, just Lair.
Oh my
Yeah,
God.
I know the game.
Where did that come from?
I don't think I knew anybody who played it. I've seen it.
What? Layer?
Lair.
Oh, yeah.
Anyway, I updated YouTube. Tank
I saw
updated.
that.
Updated Twitch.
All right, we got to start over. Back to the theme, guys. Oh, wait. Has everybody paid into it?
Jeez.
They only get it once, dude. Nobody's paid yet, so.
This is where we need my donation thing from Twitch, where it just plays money.
I am the hype.
That's someone follows me. Yeah, someone follows me. I get, I am the hype.
Is anyone else seriously jazzed for tomorrow night?
Me.
I don't know what's happening tomorrow night, so I don't know.
You don't
I don't even know what's going on tonight.
Oh, wait. Are you talking about Justice League?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm not going to be able to see it till the middle of next week. So.
Probably just see if I can watch it this weekend.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm going to be able to see it tomorrow either.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm going to be able to either. I got to look at the bills first. Got to look at the bills and then see.
Same.
I hate that.
See,
I'm tired of adulting.
I probably could have gone tomorrow, but I bought a Nerf gun today.
Alistair, if you stop adulting, there'll be nobody in the house that's an adult.
Well, let's go. We can talk.
Anyway, where we ended up.
I'm referring to
we
right
ended?
here, man. You have
Yeah,
to
we
be the
literally, it
adult.
was like mid-convert. You were like right in the middle of a sentence, and all of a sudden my computer just went dead.
We ended. I was talking about Activision's patent to add microtransactions to matchmaking, and the patent reads: the system may include a microtransaction engine that arranges matches to influence game-related purchases. For instance, the microtransaction engine may match more experienced or marquee players with a junior player to encourage the junior player to make game-related purchases for items possessed and used by the marquee player.
Otherwise known as play to get good.
Yep, pay to get good.
Pay to get good. Really? That is the most underhanded BS.
Whatever happened to, and I'm going to go very old school here, but what happened to the old days like game GoldenEye, where you had to work to get these things, and then
You got old.
Or
would,
you played what's his name, and you were shorter, and everyone shot over your head.
That's right. I mean, there was a number of different things you could do to kind of speed run the game and get more out of it, but whatever happened to just earning this stuff and not having to kill yourself to do it?
Free-to-play games came out, in which case microtransactions of free-to-play games are good so long as they're not predatory, because transactions of free-to-play games keep the game afloat. And then somebody went, they already spent $60 on our game, but I'm pretty sure we could get them to spend another $5 constantly if we put, this carrot on a stick.
Well, it's just ridiculous. Do like Blizzard does, and just add a new campaign or a new section to an expansion pack or something.
Oh, we're gonna talk about Blizzard, the company that took a single game and split it into 3 different full price purchases.
We're talking StarCraft, aren't we?
Oh yeah.
I'm talking WoW.
WoW, see, WoW, I'm okay with. That's nothing because when WoW releases an expansion, it is an expansion and it's
Oh,
worth
yeah.
the money.
Yes.
Even though I don't play WoW, I understand this. It's got a lot of content. There's a lot of changes. It's worth that money. But StarCraft, it should have been a single $60 purchase. Instead, it was here's a $60 purchase to play 1/3 of the game, and then a year later you'll pay $40 to pay another third of the game, and then a year later you'll pay another $30 to play the other third of the game.
That's ridiculous.
Now, from what I was told, because I didn't buy the game, is that it actually produced a whole lot of content in each of those pieces, but I cannot confirm that.
Yeah, I cannot confirm nor deny it myself because I didn't want to buy into that because
Well, if I remember at the time, even reviewers were saying that the game got so big, there was just no way financially to justify releasing it as one game.
that's when you actually make multiple games instead of one game that's split into 3 parts.
Well, got to keep in mind though, even Destiny was originally supposed to be that's the only game you ever need, and then it turns out no, that's not what's going to happen.
In Destiny's case, this is a case of I hope, not that I know. I am hoping that the reason they went with Destiny 2 and are restarting the whole 10-year thing is because they had to redo the engine for launch on PC. Because they finally realized that we kind of screwed up by not putting it on this big major platform that everybody has.
Maybe.
Knowing Activision, that's not the case.
Now, what's
Considering
really funny
what we
is
know from the Martin O'Donnell lawsuit, we know Activision's screwed over Bungie a lot.
On Twitter, Blizzard, using StarCraft as their thing, was throwing shade all over EA.
That's actually where I looked up that thing from because I made this post 9 hours ago. It's like this just in: the company that split a single game into 3 separate full price releases is taking pot shots at the company that wants you to spend $60 to unlock a single character in a game you've already paid $60 for.
$60 when you really think about it in real life. That's insane.
It is insane.
Look at how much people paid into for the pre-order when it was Battlefront, and I was like, no, not a chance in hell.
Well, it's really funny is you can get the original game for less than $30 now.
Of course.
I picked up the original Battlefront, the like high-end edition, a few months ago for.
I think you said it was like $10.
It was $10 because 15 if you count the $5 pre-order for. Or I don't even know if it was a $5. I pre-ordered Battlefront 2. Not that I care.
Well, I had purchased the original, just the regular game. I think I got it on sale for $29 or less than that. And then we had a big sale on that. If you already have the game for $10 extra, you can go full. And I went full for $10. It's like 10 or 15. I don't remember. But I did not pre-order the second one just because I could not. I was like, yeah, $70 for a spawn and die again. Now, even though it does have a campaign in it, I'm gonna wait. Now I'm gonna wait and see what happens. Hopefully, maybe they'll drop the price.
Injustice had like a bunch of editions like that.
Yeah, they had a monstrous amount of DLC. Both of them. Injustice and
I think the last DLC for Injustice 2 just dropped. I think
that's the one with the turtles, right?
The announcement for it, anyway. Yeah, the one with the turtles.
Well, and then the last Street Fighter was the same. Well, the last 2 Street Fighters have been
Who the hell still plays Street Fighter?
Lots of people.
Lots of people.
Really? It's like, hey, I'm gonna go play Mortal Kombat. Okay,
no, the
1986.
Well, the last 2 Street Fighter games have been really good.
See, and the thing about Street Fighter though is you don't buy a Street Fighter game when it comes out. You buy a Street Fighter game 3 years later when they've released the Ultimate Super Edition.
Yeah. Isn't Injustice built on the last Mortal Kombat edition?
I think so, because it's made by the same company. So. Which is also why it was so easy for them to put in Sub-Zero and Raiden.
Finish him.
No,
I said 1986. I should have said 1990.
Now, Destiny 2 aside, the last game I pre-ordered was Ghost Recon Wildlands. And the reason I pre-ordered Destiny 2 is because I knew what I was getting into, because it came out later on PC and I had actually rented it and played through it a little bit on the console and knew exactly what I was getting into. So let's put that aside. And that kind of put me off from pre-ordering because, one, the game was not what we were promised, not what we were shown. And
Preach on, brother.
the first thing I noticed when I loaded into the game was the fact that here are all these guns I want. I can either grind real hard to get up enough, a level to comfortably go into the areas where they are and unlock them, or be skillful enough to sneak around in these areas where enemies can spot you through walls and pick them up, or spend $10 to get 1,000 points, to spend 800 points to purchase the gun pack and get them all already. And it wasn't buy all the weapons, it was buy only this particular kind of weapon, or only that particular kind of weapon. And it's just like, you put microtransactions in essentially single-player game.
And they wonder why people are still replaying Fallout New Vegas.
They have to be wondering why people are still playing StarCraft.
It's funny.
Not
Speaking
two.
of Fallout.
Well, they just re-released StarCraft.
Yes, they
for
did.
free.
I was under the impression they released StarCraft 2 as well, but I could be wrong.
They re-released the original StarCraft is available free. You can get the remastered version, which costs money, and then StarCraft 2 is free. Well, Wings of Liberty.
See, I had a good segue, and you could with the Fallout, and you guys blew it.
Well, segue it anyway.
Okay.
Well,
speaking of
I don't
Fallouts,
want to set the world on fire.
No. Speaking of Fallouts, with the EA stuff, is the Fallout that could possibly happen between them and Disney, seeing as The Last Jedi opens in less than 30 days.
And EA has been in the news negatively about Star Wars for two reasons in the past month.
Yes, and Disney has already got a black eye with the LA Times thing. So
They've also got they're and unrelated. They've got a black eye related to Inhumans.
yes,
So they're kind of already on the back pedal.
and when you think about it, they're taking chances right now. We have the Runaways show coming out, and Humans just bombed gloriously.
And they took a little bit of another black eye with the whole announcement of they're pulling everything off of Netflix.
Yes, but they redeemed themselves a little bit in my eyes by saying that their subscription service is going to cost less than Netflix and will have basically everything Disney would like to offer on there.
Yeah, but they also left the fate of the Netflix Marvel shows up in the air. They didn't announce that they're moving to the new service, nothing.
I think they're going to stay on Netflix because they're probably contracted.
Probably. That doesn't mean that season 3 of the other shows would not appear on the Disney thing.
Yeah.
The only thing that goes with that is that Netflix helped fund those shows.
What is the other thing Star Wars related that EA had come up?
They basically gutted and closed Visceral Studios, who were working on a big open world Star Wars game that had everybody excited. And the news came out that the reason they had done it was because they didn't like the direction that Visceral was heading, because they wanted to change the direction to be, EA wanted to change the direction to be less linear single player focused and more multiplayer focused so that they could monetize it.
For the love of God, EA, not everybody wants to do multiplayer. I don't give a crap what you seem to think.
Yeah, I don't get it, because I myself am one of those. I don't mind MMOs. I play a couple of MMOs, but I prefer single-player campaigns and that kind of stuff.
Yeah. And as Firefly puts it, people may now be prompted to ask Disney if they're okay with promoting gambling.
Dun, dun, dun. It's going to be an interesting
I
turn.
can guarantee you that Disney probably doesn't want their family-friendly appearance associated with gambling.
Well, this is going to turn heavy when Mark Hamill starts trolling them. He hasn't yet, but I'm sure he will. Because somebody's going to let him know that, it costs Luke $60 to buy Luke Skywalker, and he's going to lose his mind. I might have to do that now.
He's gonna ask for his share.
No kidding. But yeah, with the Last Jedi coming out in a month, it should be very interesting. Now this is it, right? We've got Justice League and Last Jedi, and that's it for the big holiday films, right?
I think so.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Now, there hasn't been a lot of news aside from the poster, the IMAX poster being released for the Last Jedi, which is no big deal. It's almost the same poster we got before, just bigger. Because IMAX is bigger. I have yet to see a new film in IMAX.
Me either.
I think the only thing, the last IMAX movie I saw that wasn't some kind of thing at a museum or something was, my God, it was ages ago. It was the Art of Special Effects show that they redid the opening to the original Star Wars for IMAX. And let me tell you, it looked insane on the big screen. But that was the late 90s.
I saw Gravity in IMAX.
I'm sorry.
Actually, I enjoyed that movie. I mean, don't get me wrong. There's a lot wrong with it.
I enjoyed it, but it got so overhyped, and it was like, oh, and this and that.
Now, I'm not gonna lie. Seeing that movie in IMAX was amazingly impressive.
Oh, I can imagine. Not gonna say the movie was visually well done, and the science on it was, I guess, pretty good. But
not there's
depending on who you talk to.
Yeah, depending on who you talk to. But yeah, I mean, with the Star Wars will be in IMAX, Justice League's going to be in IMAX, and I mean there are IMAX theaters around here. I'm just really ticked off that Warner Brothers sent me an email and it got lost in my spam folder. I could have gotten tickets to see it last week. Because I got to see tickets for Wonder Woman, so they keep sending me these updates when they have screenings, and there was a screening up in Akron, or just outside of Cleveland, not in Akron, last week, and I didn't get the email until 2 days ago.
Could be
worse.
Going
through my spam folder.
Could be like Woofy, who got an email about N7 Day the day after N7 Day.
Oh, that's okay. The latest one is, I forgot to tell my wife when I was signing up for Raleigh to win Raleigh SuperCon tickets. I forgot to tell her I also signed her email up. She can't.
You in trouble now?
No, she can't find the email now. She says she deleted it because she thought it was spam. I won.
You did not.
Supposedly, but she can't find the email because she thought it was spam because I forgot to tell her.
Are you kidding me?
Contact them using her email address.
See, I don't know for sure. She just said she read the headline and it said something about Raleigh SuperCon free tickets, and then she deleted it.
Well, contact them and say that my wife deleted it, and we're not sure whether or not what the email said. Could you please resend it?
I'll see if I can get a hold of them.
I would do that.
Definitely.
Okay. Well, let's see. Do we go on to clipples real quick? Just touch on them.
I don't want to touch them.
I think we did it before the show. There has been not that big a controversy, so I don't think it's really a big deal. But aside from the fact that outside of the little first for Star Trek where they showed topless Klingon, oh dear God, but things you didn't want to see in your life, and that was one of them. I will say, as someone who has done makeup,
my biggest problem with the scene was that was a terrible body double.
It was, and it was the knowing that the two guys doing the makeups and Glenn Hedrick and Neville Page, and knowing the scrutiny that they put their makeups and stuff under, the fact that can get screen grabbed, when you see a screen grab of that shot, and they're all over the place now, the makeup is horrendous.
Oh, it's
now
just
it could
the worst.
be because it was to be a fast. I mean, it literally is. It's 1/3 of a second.
My guess is that rather than make all new pieces, they just tried to put Mary Chieffo's pieces on the body double, and they don't fit right.
Possibly. Either way, it made me go, oh, but the rest of that show was so good. And it really was. It had a very Trek feel to it. The ending was such a Trek thing to do. Even though I want to know why Lorca overrode 133. The last, or the one jump, or 131. He overrode the jump. It's on his screen. He overrode it and put his own jump in, which I don't understand why he did that. And then all of a sudden they end up in the mirror universe, because you know that's where they are.
Well, now there's a theory that it's not the mirror universe, but they were in an alternate universe that isn't the mirror universe, and now they jumped into the prime universe. Wah, 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 wah.
Ooh, I like that theory better.
Dare we hope?
That would be awesome. Either way, it was a good episode.
Well, Alistair's keeping his mouth shut about his particular theory.
Why?
I don't know. I just noticed he
I mean,
mentioned
we
it.
already know.
Didn't keep my mouth shut about my particular theory. I told you quietly, but the fact of the matter is, Trekkie, who was up there when we were talking about it, hadn't seen the show yet. Still hasn't.
No, he hasn't.
So I brought you down here when I talked about it. Same thing when I talked to Don about it earlier.
But Trekkie
Okay.
doesn't listen to the show, so...
But Trekkie watches the show, and I'm not keeping it secret. I was waiting for an opportunity. You just kind of sort of threw me under the bus for no reason.
Oh, sorry. It
Did
didn't
you get
seem
the
like
number?
you were going to mention it.
What bus number was it? Was Ralph Crandon driving?
I didn't realize I said I wasn't going to talk about it.
It just seemed like you weren't going to mention it. I
dear
apologize for overstepping.
Anyway. So I was thinking about it, and there were a lot of hints in both the episode and the preview that on their own don't really mean much other than the fact that, oh, this is Star Trek, but together kind of sort of make me sit back and go, I've seen this before, and I know where it goes.
That's how I felt about the first half of the show.
When Lorca is showing Stamets the data from all the jumps, when he's trying to convince him that we need to do all the micro jumps,
Yes.
Stamets particularly points out all these pockets of negative energy.
Yes.
Negative energy has been used a few times, particularly in the original series. 2 instances, in fact, that come to mind. One is negative energy surrounded the giant space amoeba, which kind of lends, cadence to the fact that there is a macrocosm of giant microscopic organisms in the galaxy.
The area of penetration will no doubt be sensitive.
But it was also mentioned in another episode. First episode or second episode, depending on where you want to go with it, in which we also had an individual subjected to it, like Stamets, had their eyes go light, like Stamets, and then gained super strength, like Stamets. He's having a Gary Mitchell moment.
That'd be very interesting, seeing as the Star Trek Continues just ended with that. They really just ended their series
they did.
using the espers.
And, well, one, I didn't know that, but let's keep in mind that Star Trek Continues has been working very closely with CBS.
Yes and no. They have been friendly with CBS.
There's another time we see white eyes and telepathic abilities.
Either way, it's an interesting theory. I like that theory. I do like the theory.
The subspecies of the Andorians, the Anar.
True.
Oh, yeah, I
I
forgot
do
about
like
that.
the theory that they were in the mirror universe, and now they're not.
I don't think they were in the mirror universe, because we know there's more than 2.
True.
I think
There's a lot.
because I know they weren't in the mirror universe, because one, we had a Vulcan admiral. There's aliens everywhere. It's the USS Discovery.
It's too positive to be the mirror universe.
I think they're in the Kelvin timeline. I really do.
Holy crap.
That would be interesting if they were legitimately in the Kelvin timeline and then jumped into the Prime timeline. That would be total, suddenly there's no lens flares. They're confused.
You know what? I'm sitting there trying to think of the call out for the letter M, and I can't for the life of me.
So are they now lost in space instead of Star Trek?
You got Charlie, Foxtrot. What would be the M?
Danger, Lorca, Jur.
I don't think I've ever heard M called out that way.
It's usually Mike.
Is it Mike? So it would be Mike Foxtrot? That's what it is. It's a total Mike Foxtrot.
No, I know where they are.
Oh, do you now?
Seriously, if the next show, if the opening to the second half of the season starts off with dun 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 dun, dun, you know exactly where they are.
Huh?
No, they're gonna board a ship, and in the background, they're gonna hear.
And then
Lord,
Lorca's gonna go,
I'm
shit,
not
the
your
mouse
father."
found us.
Then the mouse found us. We must escape again.
Speaking of the mouse,
Because
you
we
know, he's
already
99.
know R2 exists in the Kelvin universe.
He does.
And no,
It was the Falcon. It
the
exists
Falcon
in Prime.
existed in a Prime universe.
Yes, the Falcon does exist in the universe. It was in First Contact. And the Enterprise does exist in Star Wars because it was in Episode 2.
And the Enterprise
And-
also exists in Battlestar Galactica. 'cause
Yes, it
was in the
does. That's
Convoy.
I was about to mention that.
And
And
apparently, Batman's Tumblr is part of the Millennium Falcon.
Yes, true.
This is also true.
Yes, it is. Speaking of Batman, you guys aren't going to see it. I'm going to see it tomorrow night. Definitely going to see it. I know that the reviews are out there, and they're mixed. Some people are really, really enjoying it. Other people are like, it was a good film, but it's got issues. And then there are many out there that I have read that just trash all over it, saying, and I honestly just wonder if they look to find things wrong just because
Of
at
course
this
they
point
do. That's
with
what's
with
done
DC
now.
films.
That's just typical. That's just what everyone does now. You over-examine something to the point where she closed her left eye 1 millisecond sooner than her right eye. The film is garbage.
Well, I mean, I put it up on the Geek EZ page. Right now the reviews are coming in. Rotten Tomatoes is holding back, even though supposedly it got leaked, and it's sitting at a 48 on Rotten Tomatoes, supposedly, but it's a
Wow. I
51
don't
on the
trust Rotten
Metacritic.
Tomatoes as far as I can throw Rotten.
No, not because the way their system is, it's averages and doesn't work right all the time. I mean, the way I put it and the way I've seen other people, I was laughing, so I'm not the only one who said that. Cross-reference any of the negative reviews with the Age of Ultron, which I think is generally considered the weakest of the Marvel films.
I would agree.
I
It was-
thought
it
Thor's
was good,
Dark
but-
World was considered the weakest.
Okay, either one. Cross-reference it with Thor: The Dark World or Age of Ultron. If the reviewer gave either of those films a glowing review because it was Marvel, or any kind, and just kind of any positive to those films, and gave it a more than a B plus on their rating score, or more than 3 stars, disregard those people because those were C films of the Marvel films. But again, I'm going to go in. I'm not expecting Shakespeare. I'm expecting a comic book, and I mean, it's the Justice League fighting aliens from outer space.
Well, what's interesting is because Rotten Tomatoes has an article right on the cover, on the front page, on who has the higher tomato meter, and DC is at 67.7 and Marvel's at 64.1.
Really?
The averages.
Well, that's, to be honest, a difficult thing to weigh because Marvel just has more films.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
So
yeah.
their average is going to be slightly more diluted.
Well, no, they're including the animated stuff and things like the original Superman and everything.
Well, let's be
Oh.
honest. The DC animated stuff is usually really good.
Yes.
True.
And that's one thing Marvel has not been able to put their finger on and keep it going right.
The
Because
two
Odd, because you know they have the capability. Ultimate Spider-Man is actually really good.
Well, see, that's the thing is, look at the Avengers Assemble cartoon. It was really good. It was really popular, and then they canceled it for Ultimate Avengers, which has gotten really good. It was really popular, and then they canceled it.
apparently TV is the other big thing helping DC. Their lowest rated TV series is Constantine, which has a fresh rating at 72, while Marvel has the dual anchors of Iron Fist at 17% and the Inhumans at 8%.
yeah.
Still haven't watched
The
the
Dual
Inhumans.
anchors.
Yes, the DC, when it comes to their animated films, I think because they are adapting stories that people have already seen, most of the stuff that's come out over the past 10 years has been an adaptation to a moving picture that was done in comic books, whereas Marvel has tried to do original stories, and they don't really work as well. If they were to do Secret Wars as a animated film or a series of animated films, I bet you that would go be crazy. It would be insane. DC did it with The Dark Knight Returns. They did it with Justice League War, Throne of Atlantis. They were all comic book stories that were adapted.
And really well done.
And really well done, even though you already knew the story. Like Flashpoint. They made a Flashpoint movie. But Flashpoint came out years ago in book form. Well, it still made lots of money because it was direct to video, but it got great ratings because it was just a good movie.
Yeah,
So,
Dark World is way worse than Age of Ultron on Rotten Tomatoes.
yeah. Okay, so Dark World. Look at it towards Dark World. Either way,
Which is
Age of
still
Ultron, Dark World.
it's still 66% even for Dark World.
Yeah, I know. I mean, I was one of the few out there, and you can sit there and call me a DC fanboy if you want. I didn't find anything horrific to make me not like Batman versus Superman. I actually like the director's cut much better. Kind of like Daredevil, the original Daredevil film. The director's cut is an infinitely better film. Batman versus Superman has flaws. I think there is no comic book movie that doesn't have flaws aside from Winter Soldier. Winter Soldier is a tightly wound film. Near perfect.
What would you say the flaws are in the very first Superman movie?
Lex Luthor. Even though he is portrayed by a great actor and it's a great written role, it's because he was used more on a comedic side, and he was surrounded by comedic relief all the time. That was a weak point. That whole time travel thing, traveling backwards around the world. Turn back time doesn't work that way. If you change the rotation of the Earth, you're not going to change back time. You're not going to change time.
I know, but when you think about it, that was very, very much old school Superman stuff.
It was. It was extremely 1950 Superman comic book stuff.
Yeah, and that's I think what was so cool about it was like we all know that that's impossible. You bring the Earth to a screeching halt, and there's going to be worldwide tidal waves and earthquakes and everything else. I mean, come on,
Yeah.
But for the set piece that it was kind of neat. It doesn't bother me at all.
People was like, well, what about Iron Man? I was like, what about Iron Man? There were no flaws in the original Iron Man. I've had this conversation actually. It's like there are flaws in the original Iron Man.
Oh, sure there are.
And it's like Iron Man 2. There are giant gaping holes in that one. The Incredible Hulk is a flawed film. It's a good. I'm not saying these are bad movies. These all rate high on my comic book movie list. But I mean, it's like I would not give like Batman versus Superman an F. I mean, Wonder Woman I think is DC's shining example of what can be done. I'm not expecting.
I just don't know what the rewatchability is on Wonder Woman.
I've watched it about 4 or 5 times already. It really does. I mean, the rewatchability, is it Star Wars rewatchable? No. But it's like I can't remember the last time I watched Winter Soldier, and that has an incredible rewatchability. I mean, it's not like Terminator 2, where if it's on TV, you're going to watch it. Or the original Predator or anything like that. But I mean, I'm expecting to go in to see Justice League and enjoy myself because it's some of the one of the reviews I read, and I was amazed. Comic Book Movie or comicbook.com gave it a good review. They gave it 4 out of 5 stars.
The problem is in this day and age, especially, critics don't view enjoying yourself as enough.
No, and they don't. Like, well, technically this. It's like not everybody's going after an Oscar.
Sometimes they're just going for the paycheck.
Exactly. And the thing I keep reading is that you grew up with these characters, you've seen them in countless animated films, and now these animated characters are being brought to life in front of you. And that's what I want to see. I want to see it's a team thing. It's not a moment for Batman to shine or for Superman to shine or for Cyborg to shine or
the
Flash
team to shine.
It's for the team to shine, and that's what the Avengers did, right? With Joss Whedon did it the first time. The team, they each had their own little moments.
One of the best examples of critics not understanding that sometimes it's just about whether you enjoy yourself is Suicide Squad is by no means a good movie. But I can understand why there was a large segment of people that enjoyed it.
I didn't mind it.
I didn't mind it. I saw it more times than I would have liked, but that's another story.
The director's cut of that is actually a better film, or the extended edition or whatever it is that came out on Blu-ray. And I really wish that the studios would stop this thing where they get their hands into it and say, "Oh, you have to cut it this way," and release the versions that are good.
So, how much more Joker is in the director's cut?
A little bit more.
I should point out though, with the whole "you should do it this way," release the version that is good. Good is very much subjective, and
It is.
Studios are going to be like, well, that's not going to make near as much money, so that they got to make back their investment. So I can understand why studios get involved, but all the same, maybe kind of let go a little bit on the reins a bit.
Well,
Now,
I think one of the problems with Suicide Squad is the people that cut it weren't involved in creating the movie at all. They're the guys that cut trailers.
yeah, it was cut like a trailer.
Well, yeah, they literally brought in the company that is known for cutting trailers to cut this movie.
I mean, it wasn't a bad cut, but it was different.
There's a lot of stuff missing.
You know a movie that Marvel has put out that has no rewatchability for me, even though I own it? Doctor Strange.
I like Doctor Strange.
It has the rewatchability of Doctor Strange is near zero for me. And it's like, I mean, I can go back and watch Guardians. Guardians 2 is kind of as well.
I haven't bought Guardians 2 yet. Guardians 1 I watched the hell out of.
Yeah, Guardians 1 is kind of like Star Wars. You can watch it over and over.
This is going to sound bad, but I still haven't seen Spider-Man Homecoming.
Neither have I.
Wow.
Well, you're missing out. It's a lot of fun.
It's a fun movie.
I
Probably the best of the Spider-Man movies.
And Michael Keaton's terrific in it.
I want to see it, and I enjoyed his take on Spider-Man in Civil War, but after so many Spider-Man movies, I'm just kind of down on the character.
This is probably the best Spider-Man film that we've had. That's taken into account the ones that really got things going.
I mean, I'm gonna watch it at some point. I just Spider-Man's always been. I like Spider-Man for the most part, but he's always kind of been a take it or leave it character for me, Marvel-wise. Like, I understand why people like him, but he's not like even in my top 5 for Marvel.
I think I just don't trust critics in general, and I know people they find me weird. It's like Logan. Logan was critically acclaimed and all that. I thought that movie was boring as sin.
Haven't seen it either.
Oh my god. It's like pulling teeth. Watch Wolverine sleep. Watch Wolverine walk around. Ugh.
I've only been hearing so-so things about The Punisher so far.
Yeah, it's getting some so-so stuff.
The couple I've seen said it was good.
I think some of it is just burnout.
I'm wondering how long
could
it's going
be.
to happen.
I think we're approaching the tipping point possibly with superhero movies.
Yeah, the aspect that Marvel is like, oh, we're going to keep going into the mid-20s. I was like, it's not going to happen, guys. You need to do something really fresh and new, or it's just going to get stale because there's only so much watching lackluster bad guys getting beat up by guys in costumes.
Well, if we get more fresh takes like Thor Ragnarok, I could see them keeping it going for
But
a
even
while.
then, Thor Ragnarok, Hela was... A lot of people are like, oh, she was like the greatest one since Loki. No.
Well, see, to be fair, Hela was not the villain. The villain was Thor coming to terms with Odin's loss and coming to terms with his own capabilities.
So she was just kind of there as set dressing.
She was a catalyst.
Yeah. Now, I really hope that Thanos is a bad guy that's like almost worth rooting for, kind of like Darth Vader. And I'm hoping when they do Justice League 2, if they ever get that far, that Darkseid is the same way.
I just
Should be-
want them to bring back the Red Skull.
Of course, yes. He's not
I mean,
dead.
I'm just saying the Red Skull is a character you love to hate. And to just have him missing like this is wrong.
And Hugo Weaving did such a good job with that
yes, you took the words right out of my mouth. I was about to say the exact same thing. He just killed in that role.
There was like so much scenery chewing going on throughout that entire film.
And see, they had a chance. Zemo in the comic books is he's not the Red Skull, but he's up there as somebody you want to hate. And they did such a weird translation of Zemo.
True. Zemo, yeah, I think he was weak. It was just weak bad guys.
And his plan didn't make any sense. He was assuming people were going to react to things a certain way, and it was nowhere near guaranteed.
Don't tell anybody who likes Marvel films that, though, because you'll say, I mean, when me and Arlister made the comparison that the plans of Lex Luthor and Baron Zemo were nearly identical in their implausibility, people lose their freaking minds. But it's a Marvel, and he was this, and he was that. I was like, yes, but
there's
a
lot to like about Civil War. I mean,
No, there is.
The way they introduced Black Panther was awesome.
Yes.
But there's the villain is weak and his plot is nonsensical.
It's I mean, there were a few movies within that time frame that did the same thing. The James Bond movie that came out, what was it? Skyfall?
Oh yeah, where Blofeld's responsible for everything.
No, not Blofeld. The other one, the one before.
Yeah,
that.
the other
one before.
Yeah, that one. Yeah, that one's pretty
Where
bad.
where his plans were contingent on being in the exact room at the exact time of setting up a train crashing. Are you kidding me?
I love Skyfall. Like, there's so much I love about that movie, but I just kind of have to ignore the villains stuff.
Skyfall was really good up until about the last third.
But yeah, they killed them, man.
Yeah.
Spoiler alert for anybody who hasn't seen it.
Also, really, really good theme song. I love the theme to Skyfall.
Is that the Adele one?
Oh,
yes.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Unlike the Sam Jones one that he says he took 15 minutes to write, and you can tell. Oh my God! It's like, dude, pick a note, pick falsetto, pick bass, baritones, stay there.
Something.
Yeah,
Something.
I've liked Daniel Craig, but I'm a little upset that they convinced him to honor his contract. I could see why he would want to be done with it, and I do think we need a new Bond.
Already? You think so?
I like I said, I like Daniel Craig in the role, but he doesn't have. He doesn't hook me the way Sean Connery did, or even Roger Moore found a way to hook me, to make me want to see him in a bunch of these movies.
Who would you like to see?
Idris Elba.
Yeah, honestly, I've been on the
That would
Idris
be
Elba.
cool.
I've been on the Idris Elba bandwagon for a long time, but I mean, I'm sure there's other people out there that could do it. I mean, and if you want to take it in a different direction, if you want to make Bond a little more interesting, intellectual, I think Hiddleston could pull it off.
Yeah.
Oh, what about Ewan McGregor?
I think he's too old.
Yeah.
Really?
Really?
Hello there.
Fun.
Hello there.
Hello there.
Shaken, not stirred.
He's got I don't know.
I mean, I don't think we necessarily need to reset the series again, but I think it might. I think I can understand why Craig wanted to move on and why some people want him to move on.
Elba's a little old, but I could definitely see Hiddleston in that role.
Definitely. I think we get one more out of Craig, And we have it be just a big, crazy Bond film with the super villain, with the giant lair and all the crazy toys and stuff. Let's get back to that. I mean, the way they ended the last one, all the chessmen are in place at this point, and it's perfectly set up for that kind of a film.
The elephant in the room, though, is we all secretly know who's going to replace him.
Gillian Anderson.
Eggs Benedict.
No, he's too old.
In a waffle cumbermuffin?
Yes.
No way. He'd be
Next
terrible.
week on the Geek EZ, we'll discuss gender bending roles.
That's why
No, we
nobody
will
wants
not.
to say it
No,
out
we will
loud.
not.
We know he'd be terrible.
He
We're
would
not
be
gonna discuss
terrible. But Tom Hiddleston would I think he would really rock it. I really think he would.
Oh, yeah, I think Hiddleston would be great.
Hiddleston likes to play bad guys, though.
Well, yeah, well, no,
But in a lot of ways, Bond is a bad guy.
Bond's not a nice guy, okay? I mean,
Bond has so many things wrong with him. That is one
Should-
messed up dude.
Also point out he doesn't just play bad guys. He's played the more heroic roles.
yes, he has.
He was in Warhorse, actually.
He was in King Kong,
Mhm.
and he was a good guy in King Kong, and he actually pulled it off.
I think he'd be terrific. He would bring that cheekiness to the role that seems to be missing. It would almost be how do I describe it? Somewhere between wow, I can't think of any
Well,
of the other actors' names.
One of the things I like about Hiddleston is he would return. He's capable of doing some of that Roger Moore clowniness, and at the same time being just as serious as Sean Connery.
So, like
Yeah.
Pierce Brosnan,
There it is. Okay, I was trying to think of
because that's
Pierce,
what Brosnan did. He had the gravitas of Connery at times, but he could do the cheeky stuff that
Yep.
I just
Moore
wish
did.
Brosnan had gotten better scripts.
I wish he had started when he was younger.
Well, he almost
Well-
did.
Well, he would have had it not been for that spit show Remington Steele not cutting him some slack and letting him go do it. And they didn't realize at the time that the fact that he was a James Bond actor and also on their show, which he said he was willing to do, if
Yep.
they had allowed him to go and play Bond, their ratings would have gone through the dadgum roof.
I guess a lot of people want Fassbender to be Bond.
His head's too big. Did you ever look at a full shot, a body shot of Michael Fassbender? He's got a tiny little body with this ginormous head. Looks like a Q-tip.
I know, he looks like he's going to fall over.
He does. Well, I was watching Alien. What is it? The newest one. Alien, Totally Forgettable, whatever that one is.
Yeah, that one.
And there's a far body shot, and he's in this skin tight bodysuit thing, and I'm like, my God, that dude's head is enormous.
Oh, here's an interesting one on this one list. They're proposing David Oyelowo, the guy who played Martin Luther King in Selma. He's Callus in Rebels, and he's already Bond because he was personally tapped by the family of Ian Fleming to voice Bond in the audiobooks.
Okay, I can see it because I know the actor.
Hmm.
I can see it. See, James Bond, yeah. And I was like, oh, you can't have a black James Bond. Why not?
Why not?
Now,
It's
I
a
will draw the
mantle.
line at a female James Bond. Nope, not going to be no Jane Bond.
I think it's a mantle. There's always going to be a 007. Who it
Yes.
is, you never know.
The,
So
the,
that's why it could be a female.
the problem with that is they went out of the way in the one Pierce Brosnan movie to shoot that theory in the head.
Yeah, but those aren't the same.
What have I had, 22 of these?
It's not just that whole scene in the vault. He talks about all those items like he personally remembers them.
True.
Yeah, well, you can't count the Pierce Brosnan ones. It's basically we got a new continuity with the ones that have been out recently. I mean, M got
Yes.
passed on. It's clearly a mantle.
I know the
Gosh.
Woody Allen one, it's a mantle.
Oh, dear God. Woody Allen, Shot in the Dark. No, not Shot in the Dark.
That's a Pink Panther.
Casino
movie.
Royale. Casino Royale, yes. It was a precursor to the Pink Panther.
No, Shot in the Dark is a Pink Panther movie.
But I thought it came before the Pink Panther. It's a Inspector Clouseau movie, but it has nothing to do with the Pink Panther.
Right.
It's the second movie in the series. It's part of the Pink Panther series.
Either way, it has nothing to do with Pink Panther, though. The
But
story
it's still,
doesn't revol-
it's
Yes,
still
I know.
considered a Pink Panther movie. That's why the Pink Panther is sitting on the title in most of the versions of the posters and
Yes,
stuff.
I know.
Oh
Because
man,
it's
wouldn't it have been
Inspector Clouseau.
amazing if they'd actually done kind of a crossover effect? You have Bond, who's actually the one tasked to go get the Pink Panther diamond, but you have Inspector Clouseau just bumbling it up. Peter Sellers doing it.
Oh my God.
That would have been
Oh,
because then
that-
it would have been Sean Connery. I'm sure
Yes,
that would have been amazing.
that
Do
would
you
have
have
been
a
awesome.
do you have a license for that minky?
What are you
Minky?
saying?
I don't know. The parallel bars has got to be the funniest pratfall I think I have ever seen in my entire life. To this
Because
day,
of
I
the
will still
stairs.
laugh. Oh yes, I remember from my old days. And he starts doing it, and then he goes down the stairs. My
That
God,
felt
is that
good.
hilarious? That was a priceless Steinway. Not anymore. There was when he died. That was such a loss.
Oh, you know who could play Bond if they decide to cast a British or Australian person? Oscar Isaac.
Oscar Isaac is British.
Is he? I didn't think he was British. No, he's Guatemalan.
Get out of here.
Yeah, he's Guatemalan and Cuban.
Oh, okay. I thought he was British.
He's
My
a
bad.
Guatemalan American.
Speaking of Isaacs, why do they make Lorca have an American accent?
Well, because they wanted him to actually be Southern, and he certainly wanted to play that up.
He's supposed to be from like Georgia or something.
Yeah, he actually wanted to say "get her done," and they wouldn't let him.
Hmm.
So that's why he uses the line "get it done."
Well,
I
well,
always found it weird.
They know about copyright issues, don't they? I mean, they didn't want to get into it with Larry the Cable Guy.
You know, I'm honestly not so sure that Larry would care that much. 'Cause
Get her
It's a
done.
colloquialism. I can't speak.
Colloquialism.
Thank you. I can read it, but I can't say it.
Kind of like the script for Star Wars. That's neither here nor there. Okay, we'll wrap this up because we did want to do a short show, and even though we got busted by my Windows update for some reason, even though I told it not to update until after the show, it just decided it wanted to do it now.
Do it now.
Well, wait. I'll save that for last call.
Okay. Star Wars Rebels ended. It's with its season or mid-season finale on kind of a cliffhanger in a wish there was more show.
It's kind of a cliffhanger, but at the same time, we know it's going to turn out okay because of Rogue One.
Stop with the mid-season
Yes.
finale crap.
Well, I mean, we know Hera survives. We know she goes on to Return of the Jedi if we're going to believe that everything that they're putting out Star Wars-wise is canon.
Except for
Which they claim is true.
Except for the little animated shorts that have R2-D2 and
We didn't mention
Oh, the
BB-8.
blips. The blips.
Amidala's finally getting a book.
We can do the last call on those. But no, Rebels was okay. Orville, Jim, I would love to talk about it, but I am 2 shows back. I haven't watched them yet.
Okay.
So I would love it. I know Alistair's been on his viewing as well.
Mhm.
Trying to think.
Well,
What else?
I've got a few things to talk about for last call.
Okay, well, then I'll do it because we've got 7 minutes before our hour is up. So, last call, everybody.
Mine's quick, real quick. Apparently, we're getting Agents of Shield back, 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
So that was a surprise. I didn't think we were getting it back that fast.
It's because the Inhumans bomb, dude.
Well, that doesn't entirely surprise me. I mean, I have not watched any of it. I had no interest whatsoever. I've never had any interest in Inhumans.
Nope.
Ever.
I think that was a mistake on Marvel's part. They seem to think there was more importance there than there really was.
Or maybe they thought that, everything they produce will, basically create gold, and that's not going to be the case. I mean, Inhumans, just as a concept, how do you relate to any of that?
The concept never bothered me. It's just that from the very first moment they showed shots from the premiere movie or whatever, the quality just looked so shitty.
I think the way they were building it up through Agents of Shield was a better way to follow instead of suddenly doing this random thing with this, with Black
Well,
Bolt and all that.
having watched the pilot, they kept saying, "Oh, it's two separate shows. It doesn't exist in the same universe." They tied it right to Agents of Shield in the first episode. They
It's not
tied
Khan.
it.
It's not Khan. It's Khan.
Yeah, they tied it right to it, and that's the problem. Marvel seems to think they can just poop gold at this point. Problem is, sometimes the gold comes out stinky.
Yeah, well, that's what happened. This is what happens when you start to get cocky.
Yeah. That's why I think the Runaways is just a flop.
Wait, what?
They're doing the Runaways. It's now Freeform, I think.
No, they lost. They don't know where it's going to air now. Freeform couldn't find room for it in their schedule.
Oh, I just saw a trailer for it. Either way, they're doing the Runaways. They've got the show shot already, so.
Meh.
Again, meh. It was like that's kind of how I felt about Jessica Jones. The only reason she was there was to put a fourth character in the Defenders.
I enjoyed Jessica Jones though.
If you
Runaways,
like squinting,
it's still entertaining.
it is.
In the case of the Inhumans, I just didn't care for it, so I never watched it. Runaways, I'm probably not. Maybe for you, but it's not for me.
Nope. It's 90210 again. It's a soap opera show, and the what was it? When it came to Jessica Jones, it was David Tennant that made that show watchable.
Well, it's just the same thing that happened to Supergirl. It all turned into a soap opera. Ugh.
Yeah, I mean that they're having some serious rating issues over on the CW with those because of all that crap. It's like people don't want to. They want to watch about the heroes. They don't care whether or not Ollie and Felicity are fighting again. This isn't Friends. We don't need to see that kind of stuff.
Well, remember they kind of made that mistake way back with Smallville too. They had a couple of seasons that were just, oh, can we just get on with it, please? And it wasn't until they started introducing these ideas that there were, bad guys out there
now
that it didn't pick back up.
Since you brought up the superheroes on TV thing, this is one of my last call bits right here that I'm going to tie it into all this. With Agents of Shield coming back and Marvel stuff coming back to TV, the CW has been dropping Justice League hints left and right. Whether it was name dropping Bruce Wayne in Gotham City and Arrow, and I think on Legends or was it Legends or yeah, I think it was. They did a big Wonder Woman thing, and we already know Superman exists in the Supergirl universe, so should be very. I mean, I wonder with the Justice League movie coming out, are they starting to realize that people can handle seeing these characters on both screens?
No, I'm ready. I was disappointed that we didn't get to see Superman a little more often on Supergirl. So,
well, he's got other shows to do. Well, no, the actor has other things he does.
Yeah, I know, but
yes.
I was just disappointed that we didn't get to see more of it.
And you know what? After seeing him in action on the show, I did not mind him as Superman at all.
No, not at all. I thought he did just great.
Yep, he was much more a Christopher Reeve Superman than a Henry Cavill. Okay, my last call. This is my last call. I have heard and listened to the entire soundtrack for the Justice League. Danny Elfman comes back, and it's a throwback to some of his earlier work, which is really odd, seeing as he has moved past a lot of that with some of his more modern soundtracks.
So there's a lot of the dun 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 dun.
There's a lot of the stuff, that kind of stuff. The greatest thing in that soundtrack, and I know a lot of people were really ticked off at him because of his arrogance in the way he kind of threw Hans Zimmer shade about his themes for Batman and Superman. When he made the comment, there is only one Batman theme, and that's mine. And Batman has a theme, and it's in there. And when you're listening to a piece of music that you know is a battle scene in the film, and you hear dun 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 dun, and you know Batman's in that scene, and then three or 4 seconds later, you hear bump 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 dun 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 dun, and you're like, Superman
Seriously?
and Batman, their themes in
That's
the same
great.
piece of
Okay,
music.
now I actually have some level of excitement for this movie.
Was like, it's like I'm back being the 17-year-old kid watching the
Yeah,
Batman
right.
movie, and I'm
Right.
like,
Yeah.
I hear this Batman's music, and then right behind it is Superman's music, and then you
Oh,
hear about,
that's
and
so
then you
cool.
hear Wonder Woman's down, 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 and you
What?
hear that all in the same piece of music, and you're like, well, no, he does it different. It's slightly different because he uses it, but he doesn't use it the way Zimmer did.
Variation on a theme.
It's a
Or-
variation. It's his variation on the same theme. Same thing with the John Williams score, Superman. It's a little darker. It's a little slower in places, but it's there. And
Nice.
and it's just like, it's a very interesting, because I mean, we've had Hans Zimmer do the soundtracks for all of the films except for Wonder Woman. Or did he do? No, he didn't do Suicide Squad. But he did Batman and versus Superman and Superman, and he gave them themes, sort of. But again, I have Zimmer's stuff with the Batman and the Superman stuff. It's more filler noise. It's background noise. Whereas for the first time now, listening to Elfman's, even though it's very kinetic and it's very frenetic and it's all over the place and it's very loud and fast, there are themes in there. There are character themes. I was really hoping that he would have used his Flash theme as well, but seeing as the soundtrack
Well,
is
and
only
the
a
thing is,
taste, I don't know
you
what
don't
else is
see a
in the
lot
film.
of you don't see a lot of composers doing that anymore either, giving a
No.
little theme. It's all just noise.
And yeah, and Marvel's horrific at that. It's just background noise.
Nothing
And-
else
Yeah,
is
the-
interesting.
Yeah, because each one of those characters deserves an individual theme, and it's just these composers have gotten lazy. You know what happens? I read this great article a while ago about how filmmakers will use temp tracks.
Mhm.
And they'll get married to that temp track. So when they do bring the composer in, they go, well, I really like this. I want a variation of this. And so the composer goes, all right. And then they give them the variation of that, which is almost identical. And then somewhere down the road, another filmmaker finds that track and uses it as a temp track and gets married to it and has another composer make a variation of that one. And
Which is
so
what you
on.
end up with.
And pretty soon what you end up with is just...
Well, they brought Danny Elfman in late to the show on this one. He wasn't hired right off the bat, and I think Junkie XL was going to do it, and then when Snyder left, Whedon brought in Danny Elfman. So I am very much looking for the fact that, I mean, Batman and Superman's theme are in the same piece of music.
Oh, that's killer, man. I can hardly wait.
And it was just like, well, you spoiled it for me, because now I know at least Superman's in those two battle scenes.
Yeah.
He's also on the cover of pretty much all the promotional stuff, like the calendar. So
Yeah, so
we
know he's coming back.
We knew he was coming back. I mean, when Alfred goes, they said you'd come.
anyway,
You know.
Anywho.
one. After what you said, Jim, there's a thing I need to watch with you. It's in that subject of what you were talking about. Two. Okay, my last calls here. One. Bungie has finally admitted their stark, sinister plan, which is to collect all of the Firefly actors. Because they already have Nathan Fillion, and now they got Marina Baccarin. She's going to be voicing a character in the upcoming Curse of Osiris. They also got Aded Fair voicing another character, and they work together, so that's cool, I think. It's worth mentioning. The other bit that I want to talk about, and this is actually something I just learned about, is we're going to get a Hitman television series.
Say what?
What?
Yep, it's going to be on Hulu. And, of course, because of the movies, I immediately groaned. But then I finished reading. There's a Hitman TV series in the works from the John Wick series creator.
Oh.
Oh, yeah.
I think if he's given the same sort of freedom to do what he did with John Wick, and it being a subscription service where he's allowed to do things that normally wouldn't be allowed on theater or on, cable TV, that could be really, really good.
Oh my goodness.
Now for my main last call. Earlier in the show, we pretty pretty badly railed on EA for what they did to Battlefront 2. But I do want to go out and mention something you should do regarding Battlefront 2. There is I'm going to give a shout out to a guy who doesn't know he's getting a shout out and doesn't really need one, but there is a YouTube channel called MK Ice and Fire. And he has a no commentary playthrough of the entire campaign. And I highly recommend going and watching it, because while I can't agree with what EA did to the game to monetize it, it is a story you should watch if you're a Star Wars fan. It is very well written, it is very well acted, and it ties in with the new canon very well. There's a part where you play as Han Solo, and it's basically Han acquiring the information he needs to do the assault on Kashyyyk that you learn in the Aftermath comics. There's a lot of references to the the books. And there's a lot of references to Rex, the guy, the big shadowy guy who's behind Admiral Sloane. There's even references to Admiral Sloane. They capture Han perfectly, Leia perfectly, Lando perfectly. Luke is done very good as well. Luke has probably one of my favorite lines in the entire campaign, which is he's looking at he opens one of the Emperor's observatories with the assistance of an Imperial officer who he saved. And the Imperial officer says, "Why would the Emperor create a door that could only be opened with the Force? Are you telling me that the man who defeated the Jedi was secretly one of them?" And Luke turns to the man and says, "No, I'm telling you that as a boy on Coruscant, you were afraid of the wrong thing." It is very, very well written, very well voice acted. It includes a brand new character named Shriv, who immediately became one of my favorite characters. And I cannot recommend you go out and buy the game. I cannot recommend you go out and rent the game. But I can highly recommend you go out and watch that campaign.
Well then, we will have to do that after the show.
Drop a link on me.
Oh, I am going to.
Oh, he's going. I've got a couple of links as well. I will drop.
It's like 4 hours long, but I'm going to.
My last call is.
Good night, folks.
Things in the Lord of the Rings universe, TV and movie wise, and other product wise, could very quickly be changing, because Christopher Tolkien has resigned as the head of the Tolkien estate.
Yeah, but he's what, 93?
Yes, but he was the one blocking lots of things from being licensed, and he's very much the one that was pressing for preserving his father's legacy, and supposedly most of the other relatives are far more willing to license things out and have more stories be made into shows and movies.
They want their cut.
Money, 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 money.
Honestly, I have a feeling the fact that he's 93 is the only reason the Amazon series even got pushed through.
Well, Jody was telling me earlier today that there's the rumors of a Middle Earth series.
Yes,
they're doing a series. They're doing a series on Amazon. I know that.
I suspect that the reason why that they're pushing for this is because Game of Thrones is ending, and they want to grab that niche market.
Yeah, that would make sense.
I think it'll transition from the high fantasy of Game of Thrones to the high fantasy of Lord of the Rings. Now, granted, when they were talking about this, there's rumors about it. Elijah Wood replied to that particular tweet with an as in, we already did this. So, yeah, I don't know how more you can really do with it. We don't need Tom Bombadil.
A whole lot of lore, and not just Tom Bombadil. There is a whole. I mean, if they do just little episodic things, and they're basically just short little mini series that collect together as a big series together. There's a lot they can do.
Look at the Silmarillion. All the other films are a footnote.
The Amazon series is supposedly the rights are for the Lord of the Rings. It's not including the Silmarillion or the new old series Baron and Luthien.
Well,
No, what
even
I'm just saying
then,
that the world is so big and the stories are so complex.
even if it's just for the time period though of the Lord of the Rings, they could, if they're smart, do series episodes and an entire series focusing on the rest of Middle Earth during that time, because there's a lot going on aside from the Fellowship.
Holy cow, yeah.
Hey, if they don't have at least one close-up shot of the ring with dun, 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 it's not gonna be worth it watching.
That's right.
My favorite Lord of the Rings related thing from the last few years is when Saturday Night Live crossed the Lord of the Rings with The Office.
Seriously?
Oh, it's hilarious. I'll have to find you a link after this.
Well, I guess we'll find out more in the coming weeks, huh?
Indeed.
Indeed.
Bears watching.
Well,
It definitely bears watching.
yes, I will watch a Lord of the Rings show, even though I'm not a big fan of the arc of the films. Well, after watching the Hobbit films, I can definitely go back and watch the Lord of the Rings and go, wow, these are good movies.
Welcome to Walking the Film.
Yes. There's only one return. That's of the Jedi. So next week, I'll be back here. Actually, I am planning on doing a hopefully animated review of Justice League that'll come out sometime this weekend. After I see the film tomorrow, it will be spoiler free, but it'll be short too.
Also,
maybe 2 or 3 minutes
at
long.
least I'm going to try and dig out some more information related to, you know, the announcement of the fact that we're getting a Star Wars television series and a whole new trilogy.
Yes, we didn't even touch on that stuff. So
Because there's not much to talk about now, but I'm going to try and look into it more.
Okay, we will look into that. So that's all coming later this week and next week. And until then, folks.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Goodbye.
Where'd Tank go?
I'm still here.
Oh, you said no bye-byes.
Yeah, you guys covered it.
Okay, we're out of here, folks. Bye. Any day now. There you go.
Excuse me.
Thanks for joining us at the Geek EZ. We have some big changes coming down the road, but to find out about them, you have to hit that subscribe button. You could also follow us on Facebook and Twitter to find out what's new and what's coming down the road. So do us a favor, subscribe.